Hi, my name is Tine Mortier. I'm a Belgian author of children's books and I currently live in Costa Rica. So if you hear strange noises when I'm talking to you, when I'm reading the book, that might be the howler monkeys or the geckos interrupting my story. The book I'm going to read to you today is Maia and What Matters. I got the idea for this book from my general practitioner. Her name is Marlene and she's Maia, really. I got to see her once and I had this feeling that she was quite sad. So we started to talk and she told me about her aunt who had had a stroke recently. And because of that stroke, she had difficulties in talking. Words came out, but they sounded weird and people did not understand what she was saying. So that was a big problem. The only one who could understand what she was saying was my general practitioner, Maia or Marlene. And she was like the only communication that the old aunt had with the rest of the world. And I thought that was a very beautiful story because of the different ages and how they were working together to, make sure that the aunt still had contact with the rest of the family and everything. It's a sad story, but a beautiful one. So I thought I want to tell this story to children. And I wrote this book. Kaatje Vermeer made the wonderful illustrations to go with it. The book has been translated into, I don't know, like 12 or 13 languages already, which is wonderful. But because now not only children in Belgium, but children all around the world can read the story or listen to this story. So I'm very, very happy with that. I'm going to read this book for you today. Enjoy. Maia was born under the cherry tree in a wicker chair. Her mother was reading. It was an exciting book. So exciting that at first she didn't realize the baby was coming. Like when you're busting to go and think, I'll just hang on for a sec. Hang on for a sec? No way! Maia didn't have an ounce of patience. Let me out, now! She pressed and pushed and kicked until she was there. Maia grew very quickly. By 6 months, she was running around the garden. From the cherry tree to the fence, once around the pond and back again. Did you see how fast I was? Huh? Did you see? Nobody's that fast. A few months later, she said her first word. Not mama or dada, but cake. Maia was always hungry. Cake, she said. Now! And she scoffed the lot. Grandma was Maia's best friend. She was just as impatient as her granddaughter and just as greedy. When Grandma came to visit, it was one big party. They'd run around the garden together. From the cherry tree to the fence, once around the pond and back again. Then they'd eat a whole cake. Have you ever had this much fun before? Isn't this the yummiest cake ever? Maia and Grandma climbed up into the cherry tree and yelled at the birds. Stop pecking holes in our cherries! They told each other stories and ate biscuits and sweets until they were sticky with sugar and covered in crumbs. One day, Grandma was lying on the ground. She'd stumbled, said Grandpa. Maia didn't believe a word of it. They're lying through their teeth. Grandma never stumbled. Not over the gnarled roots of the oaks, not over the fence, and not over the loose stones halfway down the path to the pond. Grandma had fallen into a deep sleep. So deep She couldn't wake up to run, eat, or tell stories. "Wake up, Grandma, now!" But it didn't help. One morning, Grandma woke up after all. Maia was already dancing next to the bed. She waited impatiently for Grandma to say something. "I feel like I've been asleep forever, perhaps. Or I'm absolutely dying of hunger." But that's not what happened. In her sleep, Grandma had forgotten all kinds of things. How to eat cake, and how to run, and how to tell stories. What's going on? Why is everything so hard all of a sudden? Grandma was sitting up straight in a white bed on wheels with a kind of fence around it. Maia thought she was sitting much too still. Grandma stared at the TV all day long. Maia couldn't take it anymore. She stamped her foot, and when that didn't help, she kicked one of the wheels of the bed. "So what if it hurts? I don't care." The bed wobbled for a moment, but nothing changed. So Maia started drawing pictures to put on the bare walls. She made wonky things to put on the bedside cabinet and a plate for cake. Maia did 1,000 drawings for the walls, and she made 1,000 wonky things to put on the bedside cabinet. She filled the room to overflowing, and the nurses got angry. They grumbled that it was a hospital, for goodness sake, not a playroom. And they said they couldn't find a thing in there. Maia shrugged. "Blah, blah. They can't tell me what to do. I'll draw a ship." "Pip," said Grandma. Maia drew a bird. "Third," said Grandma, and her mouth dragged on the right. Maia's mother didn't understand what Grandma was saying, and Grandpa just pretended. They answered yes when it should have been no, and no when it should have been yes. They gave her soup when she wanted potatoes. "Isn't anyone listening? She asked for chips and steak. Have you got cake in your ears?" Maia knew exactly what Grandma was saying. She read it in her eyes and picked the letters out of Grandma's mouth very carefully, because Grandma had grown slow, very, very slow. And then something else happened. Grandpa died. Maia was there when her mother found him, so no one needed to lie. Grandpa was sitting in his easy chair. He's sitting so still. He hadn't broken anything except the cup of tea he was drinking. The pieces lay at his feet. On the carpet, on that beautiful carpet. His eyes were shut, and he was smiling as if someone had just said something funny. Grandpa had broken a teacup and stopped living. Lots of things needed arranging. Mum phoned, wrote, ran and blew her nose in thousands of tissues. Maia went to see Grandma. First, Grandma's eyes got wet, then her cheeks, then her dress. Maia didn't have enough hands to hold back all those tears. Soon the whole room will be flooded. The floor got wet. Next thing, the bed would float out the door. Then we'll sail all the way to China. When everything had dried again, Grandma said she wanted to see Grandpa, to run her fingers through his hair one last time. That was all. The nurse shook her head. She said it wasn't possible. Maia got angry. Out of our way, you silly goose! If you won't help, we'll do it ourselves. Right, said Grandma. Right. And Grandma climbed over the fence. It was cold where Grandpa was. So cold that white clouds came out of Maia's mouth and out of Grandma's too. How pretty, how incredibly beautiful. Maia pushed Grandma's chair up next to the coffin. There weren't any clouds coming out of Grandpa's mouth. His eyes were shut, and he was still smiling. Bye, said Grandma, stroking his wiry hair. Then she smiled at Maia. Cake, she said. So, this was the book of Maia and What Matters, a story about different ages, young age, old age, and how they can work together, about the friendship that might exist between those different ages, and the consolation one can get out of that kind of friendship. About sad things as well, but those are part of life, I think. I hope you enjoyed the book. I hope you liked the pictures and the story. Maybe you can go to the library once and get the book and read it for yourselves. Okay, that's it. Goodbye.